what yogis and millionaires have in common. Like, first of all, let me know in the comments, which one is you? Do you like raise your hand? You're like, ooh, yeah, that sounds like me. That's really exciting. Like a yogi and a millionaire having like things in common. Like, oh my God, that's exciting. Like I feel that. Raise your hand if that's you. Or are you like, dude, no way. Like, millionaires, yogi, like I'm a bohemian, man. Like I do things like, karma yoga, man. And that's like, and no judgment, okay? But good morning, Kate. But just let me know if like you separate yourself or you have some form of judgment with somebody who has money, who has an abundance of money. Just let me know if like, you're like, eh. Or are you in category number 3 where you're like, yeah, it's kind of exciting, but I'm kind of like, when people ask you like a question in a group and you like, you're that person who kind of wants to say yes, but you also are embarrassed and you kind of look around and you're like, yeah, like that would be cool to know what I have in common with a millionaire, but I'm kind of slightly ashamed of like actually admitting that in public. Okay, so let me know if that's you, because we've all been maybe in one of those categories. So write me in the comments, tell me if you're like one number 3 where you're like, dude, yeah, tell me all about it. I'm in, like, I want to know this. I want to know. Definitely. And so Jennifer says, definitely have always struggled with money for sure. And like, who hasn't, guys? Okay, so there's nobody born and they're just like, yes, I am, fully available to receive the abundance of the world. And maybe like when we're babies, right? We're like, yeah. Or maybe if you're like an animal. But, so that's the truth of that. Okay, so there is no shame around understanding that you have sort of struggles with money. I think it's pretty normal, right? Especially if you've had depends on your circle, right? If you've had in the past people who have given you a message, right, and you've taken it to be true, and then you're kind of carrying it around as if it's yours, right? So so it's no judgment. But the first step is to really say, yeah, that's me. I kind of, yeah. And that was me too. I've always struggled between the two, where I've always like been an entrepreneur. Okay, my heart of hearts, that was me since I was like a child. And I've always been, hello, Mega, hello, welcome. I'm so happy you're here, guys, and joining the conversation. And I've always been like, I think in grade 4, okay, I talked about near-death experiences and how people felt like they were trapped in like a man's body. Like I talked about that like when I was, how old are you when you're grade 4? Like 9, okay? So I've always been interested in those two subjects. I think I read Think and Grow Rich when I was a teenager. So for me, I had to come to, hello, hey Eileen, nice to see you. I've always had to come to terms. I was, actually with both, with being a yogi, because my parents weren't like, oh, I don't know what you're gonna do with that. That's like, the typical, starving artist kind of archetype. They're like, yeah, okay, good luck with that. Like, great, you do your yoga thing. We hope it works out financially, which it has. And at the same time, when you're in the kind of yogi world, sometimes when I start talking about like my business and how I want to grow and how I want to like expand, some people are like, yeah, yoga, money, they don't go. Like, that's shame on you. So, there's this push-pull. And I'm here to tell you that it's a both and, guys. I have, since the beginning of quarantine, I taught for free every single day. And at the same time, created financial abundance in my business. So you can do both. Okay, so that's the one thing that I want you guys to realize is that there is an opportunity to do both. You don't have to be one or the other, right? So usually when you are financially abundant, you have energy to give, and to give who you want to give, your friends, your family, people in your community. So there can be both and. You don't have to separate yourself. And that's what yoga is always teaching us. Like, we're not separate. The business side of you and the yoga side of you are in you. That's you. So the first thing the other thing I want to tell you guys is that at the end of this conversation, I want to share with you a really cool formula that I read in this book. I've been talking about it. You guys probably seen it in my stories. And in this book, he researches what all the successful people do in the mornings. And what's so cool about it is it's like these nuggets of like, okay, oh my gosh, he's done the research. And he thought to himself, well, what if I started doing those things? And he thought to himself, well, there are 6 top things. What if I started doing all of them? Like, whoa, right? So then this is what happens. It's like, this is what I'm going to share with you at the end of the talk is this kind of formula that we all are already doing as spiritual practitioners. So that's a cool thing. So, number 1, and the cool thing about this is it's 6 things and it's also a framework. So the number 1 thing I want to tell you of the commonalities between yogis and millionaires is that they have a framework. They have experienced and implemented and realized, this framework works for me. And of course, during that framework, you tweak it and then you put what works in and then you put what works out and you implement it. And here's the key, because the framework is usually pretty simple, but implementation every day that's what sets a successful yogi or entrepreneur or millionaire apart, is when they can do the boring breathe in, breathe out, inhale, exhale every day consistently. You know this, you start to see the shift in your spirit, right? So yogis and millionaires, they have a distilled approach, and that's what we teach with the clients that we work with. So for example, we have a client who she came to me and she's like, dude, I'm burnt out. I'm staying up until I had 1 hour of sleep last night, and I'm doing all these things. I do graphic design, I do copywriting, I do fine arts. And she was spread all over the place, right? And let me know in the comments if that's you, where you're just you're doing all of these things, or you could be the opposite, where you're kind of I'm not doing anything. I don't know what to do, right? You could be one or the other. And so what we did with her is first of all, we figured out what her zone of genius was. Hey, Nicole! We figured out what her zone of genius was, okay? And not even first, we actually started balancing in the physical body. We balanced in the mind. We balanced in our energy. So we took care of her spiritual house first. Because if you don't do that, then everything else, everything that's going on physically, everything that's going on mentally, everything that's going on energetically is going to be the thing that is driving the bus. So what we did with her is that we good morning, beautiful lady. I miss you. So Nicole, one of my soul sisters. Okay, so we started kind of clearing up her spiritual house, which for me is your physical body, your physical vessel, your mind, your energy. And then once we did that, then we started to look at her zone of genius. And this is one of the processes we do in our program to start to distill what you do. Because let me know in the comments if you're I got a workshop going on, I got my private clients, I'm teaching every day, I'm doing, and you're kind of spread thin, and it's sort of they're all kind of working. And at the same time, you sort of look at your bank account and you're I'm working so hard, but hey, Carlo! But I don't know. I don't know if I could keep this up. There's just so many things going on, right? And that's what we did with our client. We started to realize what's your zone of genius and how can I kind of abide there, instead of okay, she was really good at graphic design, she was really good at copywriting, she was really good at fine arts, but where is her zone of genius, the thing she loves, the thing that makes your money, the thing that makes her money, the thing that when she's doing it, she's yes, right? And you want to know a really cool thing is that what happened when we start to kind of clear her spiritual house is like a miracle, because this is kind of how it happens. She gets a commission, okay, for a painting for 4K. A painting, guys. So like, I want those of us, especially who are like that starving artist archetype, like who are attached to that, like, dude, you know, it's like the thing, and because her zone of genius is that she loves working with her hands. She loves like doing art. She loves, that's her thing. Yeah, she was good at the copywriting, the branding, all that stuff. But we start to clear her spiritual house, her mind, her energy, her physical body, and poof, her friend, who is also an artist, right, comes to her because she's an expert. That's her thing. She's like, she does these beautiful paintings. That's her thing. She's like, dude, I'm gonna pay you up front 4K for your, like, for your thing. And you see how, like, it's almost, and this is what I was listening to yesterday, nothing's too good to be true. So when you clear yourself and you get really focused and you understand and you start to distill your zone of genius, it starts to magnify what it is you want. And it's like, you would never think, you know, that, oh my gosh, I'm gonna paint this painting and somebody's gonna give me this like crazy commission that I would only have been dreaming about, right? I've had to do all of those, like so many different workshops and this and that and this small commission and that small commission and that small project just to get that amount. And then boom, you know, you're gonna work on this for me and like 4K in the bank, baby. It's like, you know, so this is what we do with our clients. We start to distill your approach. So if you feel like you're like fragmented all over the place, that's one approach. And that's what millionaires and yogis have in common. They're like, I do this thing, I do this breathing thing, I don't know what, you do something, I run, I eat my vegetables. You got a framework and you know it works and you tweak it every time. And again, the key, consistency. You do it every freaking day. If you know that freaking green juice is like your thing, right? And it gives you like, woo, you feel like you do that freaking thing every day. So that's point number one. You have a distilled process and implement that process. So true, manifestation is so real. Eileen, she knows, right? And it's like you start to think, wow, oh my gosh, it's almost so simple. And that's the thing. The strategy is simple, but not always easy to, especially if you have an unclear vessel, an unclear mind, an unclear energy, that's going to be driving the bus. So point number two, what yogis and millionaires have in common is they want to expand. When you sit, when you, I don't know what, float in your bubble bath, when you take a shower, when you dance to music, you know what I mean? Do your thing, right? What a synchronicity. All of this applies. I ordered for me to soon by Etsy shop came today. 40 canvases. Oh, Jennifer, okay, did you hear the story I just said about my client who literally commissioned 4K? Like, it's possible. But yes, came and Mega saying that I feel good when I do my daily Shivananda yoga practice, right? Because you know it works, right? And you do the thing. And you, even though it worked yesterday, you can't rely on that yesterday's work. You kind of have to do it again today, right? When I dance, I own the world. Yes, you do. Carlo, oh my God, Carlo. If you could only see him dance, he's so sexy. I love it. One day, baby. Okay, so that's it. You realize this shit works, right? And I'm gonna do it. And that's what sets you guys apart, is that I'm gonna do that shit all the time because that thing lifts my spirit, baby, right? So point number two, yogis and millionaires want to expand. They want to expand. When you listen, when you're in that flow, when you're in that dance, when you're in that yoga, when you're in that painting mode, whatever it is, that is your meditation, because meditation is simply focusing on one thing, and especially if it opens your heart. So they want to expand. So money really is just a symbol for what you're committed to, right? So if you, I like to say this, it's like when you were a kid and you had $10 and you went into the candy store, you'd be doing a couple of things. One, you're like, no, I'm saving that $10, you know, or you're like, ooh, let me spend it and like buy all my friends candy, right? That could be you. Or you could be, you'll spend it all and you're like, woohoo! And then you'll secretly eat it in your, in your room and you're like, yeah, baby, I won the jackpot. How can I win the next jackpot? So basically, whatever it is, I'm just making a joke that you have, you're one of those people, if you had $10, you were going to give like $5 to your friend. It's just a symbol for what you're committed to. If you're into sharing the wealth, that's what you're going to do, right? So if you have some kind of unconscious belief about money, that's what's going to kind of hold you back from what you really want. And when we want to expand, and when we dive deep in our practice and we listen to our truth, and our truth is saying, hey, dude, I want more money in the bank, or I laugh out loud, share it, and enjoy some for myself. Yeah, right? And that's good. At least you know like your pattern, right? Share it and enjoy for, yeah, that's like cool, right? So if you had $10, or if you had $10,000, or if you had $1 million, you would do the same thing. Hey, Hinda, what's up, girl? Okay, so you would do the same thing. Either you'd give everybody $1 and you wouldn't save anything for yourself. You would give half to you and your sister. You would maybe take it all in for yourself, and then maybe make $20 later to share with other people. There's a certain pattern. So this owning of your wanting to expand doesn't come from an external voice. It comes from something deep within. You know that when you practice in your spiritual practice, you feel expansive. You start to hear what it is that is downloading into your cells, into your system, into your mind, into your heart, right? And where the courage is, and where successful millionaires happen, and I'm not just saying financially successful, but abundant with joy, abundant with energy, abundant with smoking hot bod, whatever that means, okay? I'm not saying there's a certain kind of smoking hot bod. I'm just saying you have a smoking hot bod. Hey, Shanaz! Right? Another soul sister in the house. Okay, so whatever that expansion is your own internal truth. And isn't that what the spiritual practice is to own your own internal truth. Hey, and nobody can tell you what that is. Your truth is your truth, right? So if you at the beginning were like, yeah, man, I know you like it. I have a couple more too. Shada says she likes my kimono. I just find it easy. It's like I got a couple of these for these kind of lives. Just put them on, right? So that's it. So it's like millionaires and yogis, they want to expand, and where that fundamentally comes from is not some external oh, look at that person, but this internal you see a mirror, a reflection of what is possibly your reality, and you're like, I want to expand there. So yes, love it, very bright. Yeah, you like it. So very bright. Yeah, it was for this today. I'm feeling abundant today. And so I had this client, and we've been working together for a long time, and he's like a man, he's an expert, okay? He I don't even actually know exactly the whole scope of what he does, but he's an expert, research, data. And he, for the longest time felt like he's been frustrated, he's been unseen, he's not fulfilled with his work. Raise your hand if that's how you feel. I don't know, people in this group are pretty hot, smoking hot bod. Nicole. And so he had that for the longest time, and he's like he had his expertise. He always had the expertise, right? But where we started to work with is start to clean up his spiritual house, right? Where it's like, okay, what were those deep-rooted unconscious things that kept on going over and over in your mind, this there was a superficial emotion of frustration, always frustrated and looking around and saying, hey, why am I being seen here, right? And when we start to look and uncover that and go there, right, we start to see those deeper rooted core that we all have emotions. Underneath those emotions, that feeling of unworthiness. Anybody, right? Do we get that feeling? Right? We started to look at that, and we have the process of learning how to hold it, because everyone has it, right? Come on, like, don't tell me you're on top of the world one day, like, dancing your sexy dance, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm back in, like, this sucks. I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I even doing this? Let's just F this all, like, oh my, right? And how can we hold that part of ourselves? So that's what I did with one of my other clients. And guess what? Okay, he calls me yesterday. He lands a $2 billion client. Like, $2 billion client, guys, right? Raise hand sheepishly. Jennifer, yay, Jennifer's here, right? So that's what Nicole says. She raises her hand sheepishly, right? So he's always had the expertise. But where we had to clean up is in his spiritual house, in his physical vessel, right? In his mind, like, all of that stuff that was driving the bus, frustration, and then like the deeper core wound of unworthiness, right? We're not trying to get rid of that. We're learning how to hold that with the utmost respect and tenderness. And when you can do that, it's like, whew, now you really can step into dope. I know, like I was blown away. And this is the thing. This can be true for you and your clients, guys. When you start to teach, and this is what we teach our clients, when you start to learn how to clear your spiritual house physically, mentally, and emotionally, and energetically, which are not very complex systems, guys. That's the thing. Again, it's just doing it every day, right? Breathe in, breathe out. You do that shit every day and you're like, whew, I feel like pretty good, right? So I want to also tell you, a disclaimer here, 2 years. Okay, we've been working together consistently. We every 2 weeks we get together, work on his stuff. 2 years, $2 billion. So it leads me to my next point. Millionaires and yogis, the other thing they have in common is that they have faith. Come on, guys. I know people in this group, they have faith, right? And I'm not trying to talk about like a very specific, it's just you believe, right? There's a belief in something that is there. You feel it. You want to expand there, but you can't necessarily see it. He did. I know, like, $1 billion. It's like crazy. $2 billion company he just landed. Okay. And now we're kind of in the phase of, okay, well, what worked? Dude, that was freaking like, and we realized what worked was we cleared the spiritual house and we paired it with his expertise. He has a very specific expertise. He doesn't touch anything else. That's where the distillation comes from. Okay, so he knows he doesn't work with certain companies. But this company, like, he was like, I'm all up in it. And the other thing that was really important that we noticed at work is that he solved their problem. He went there, and if you guys have a life-altering problem that you solve, that's what it is, guys. If you can show your clients your experience, your ability, your magic to do that, they're like, okay, sign me up. You got it. And I am in a place where I need that, right? So he also did that, right? And we also noticed, well, what wasn't working? And, that mindset of being constantly frustrated, looking at everybody else and saying, I should be doing that. Like, that was not working, right? We need to really look at that, right? So point number 3 is the belief. So even though all of that stuff was going on, there is still a core deep belief in him that I'm still going to do the work. Like, he did the work. He applied his expertise. He did like a whole bunch of research, and he solved, like, he took all of their products and he reorganized it. He did his expertise. He applied it, right? And he applied clearing of the mind, clearing of the energy system, and clearing the body, right? And bam, $2 billion. So it doesn't just happen like magically once you intellectually know it, right? This took 2 years of discipline, and this is what you guys have. I know you guys, I know everybody in here, right? You all have a spiritual practice, and that's what I want to tell you guys, because you have an advantage. Imagine you've been practicing a certain practice day in and day out, or week after week, and you already have that foundation. So that's your advantage, right? Because if you have the expertise, that's great, But if you don't have the spiritual practice to support it, or whatever practice you want to call it, maybe spiritual practice that doesn't resonate with you, your practice, your discipline, if you don't have it to support it, then forget it. All of those frustrations, all of those feelings of unworthiness, all of that stuff is going to self-sabotage, or it's going to even just stop you and block you from your magic, from your thing that you can share, right? What did we say about the $10 in the candy store? Some for me, some for them, you know, right? That's what Nicole was talking about, right? So one gets what they believe. A clean spiritual house is essential to me. Nicole knows what she's talking about, okay? Because Nicole does the work, okay? She's one of those people who, yeah, maybe once in a lifetime where, you know, you hit the rock bottom, and you're like, wait a minute, but how do I move out of this? How do I transcend this? And it's like, it's just an everyday simple thing that I'm gonna do, simple but not easy, and I'm gonna do that every day. And it gets me to this clarity. It gets me to this place where I can own who I am, and I have the courage to say, hey, hi guys, this is what I have to offer, right? This is my price point, and here it is. And it's like this very clear, precise thing that you're just like, right, I got it. If you want, it's right here, right? And if you don't want, it's all good. Okay, so point number 4, we talked about distilling all millionaires and yogis distill their approach. We talked about needing and wanting to expand, this inner calling to expand. We talked about having faith. And the last one, which ties everything in, is discipline, right? And I know discipline sounds very like serious, but just that thing that you are disciplined, and you know, if I don't do this thing, I'm going to be a crabby, you know, a-hole the whole day, and I'm not going to get my shit done because like I'm going to be feeling all foggy physically, mentally, emotionally. So you guys have that discipline, and that's what I want to tell you. You guys have that advantage, because that really is the simple key. It's not about doing 365 things and all the shiny objects and oh my god, and I have to brand my website and I have to make it look good and I have to go on Instagram and all that. It's about doing one thing every day, and mastering that one thing. Mastery is mastering the basics, and when you have that discipline, you gain mastery. And that's what all of us here in this group, you all have some kind of expertise, and you've been honing in on it. You've been mastering it for your lifetime, right? So yogis and millionaires have discipline, right? You guys have, I mean, like Mega is talking about, like, I do my Shivananda, like that ain't no joke, that you know, sun salutation for 90 minutes. Like she does that, right? That requires discipline. Right? And I know Shanez, she does her thing, she trades, she does her prayers. I know Nicole does her, you know, amazing like food, and I'm sure she does a whole many other things. Eileen, tell me what you do. I'm sure you do all kinds of crazy stuff. I just saw you doing like some workout, like you do something, right? And you have a discipline, and you do it consistently, right? Yes, get shit. This is what Nicole says. Yes, get shit done. Letting shit go. Be little better than something each day towards mastery. I'm a master. Of course, only Nicole will say something like this. I'm a masturbator. You got, when Nicole's in the house, you must just take her in because she's so funny and awesome. Okay, Kate says, the routine daily is getting more solid, and distilling of expertise is less distilled than it could be. Great. So it's good awareness, Kate. That's all we need. We just need to be aware. Laughter yoga. Oh, we gotta laugh together. Eileen, laughter yoga and wellness workshops for seniors to promote active aging. Oh my God, isn't that beautiful? Like just listening to that just touches my heart. You know, like that's what we need right now. Social worker background, that's Eileen. So she's in service. Okay? So you have a discipline. And that brings me to my last sharing, which is I want to share with you, okay, what I've been reading in this baby. okay, where he talks about one of his frameworks that he discovered, okay, because he was, again, why does this always happen? We go into this kind of rock bottom place and realize I gotta get the hell out of this place, right? And he's like, okay, let me research what these guys are doing, what's Oprah doing, what's all these people doing, and he came up with this formula, and that's what I love about it. It's a nice little package, and I start to realize, hey, I do those things. Oh my gosh. So that's the beauty about books. They give you the freaking secret, like right there in the book, and like the book's $20. So how generous is that? This is somebody who makes millions of dollars, but they're like, hey guys, I'm going to give you my secrets for $20. And it's up to you if you're going to implement them or not. Okay, so the last thing I want to say about the discipline is that if you meditate, and many successful entrepreneurs meditate, there's an unwavering focus. So in a certain time, in a certain day, if you're running your business, you have a billion trillion things. You've got your family. We're all doing like online school and all this freaking stuff going on, right? You got dogs, you got cats, you got everything going on around you. Unwavering focus. Okay, so that discipline starts to give you the unwavering focus. And what you want to start to focus on is your inner calling, your inner truth. What does this whole thing, this dream that I dream of in my heart and my mind look like? And can I continue to refocus that discipline, refocus, bring it back into priority? And this is what we teach in our program, because that's the thing about getting coaching, is that even though you're the most expert of experts, and this is what one of my coaches, and you guys know this, you can't massage your own back, right? You could be the best massager, but you can't massage your own back, right? So you need somebody to keep on saying, hey, remember your dream? Hey, remember your dream? Hey, remember your dream? And hey, here's a strategy to continue to move towards that. Okay, clear the spiritual house. Here's a tactic, business strategy to do that. So we also give you very simple business strategies in a model that is so simple that it's almost too simple. And so when you distill your program, you start to offer it at a value that is worth, maybe that's not the word, a value that when you can say, hey, I regret it, but I missed due to some of the unexpected reasons. I love chanting. Oh yes, and that's okay too, right? So we teach you a model that creates abundance and gets money in the door very quickly. And you're not like spread all over the place. Okay, so that's another thing we teach. And I'm gonna talk about it more next week. Jennifer says, meditating is amazing. I changed my life truly. To my authentic self when I meditate. It's so true. And that's now what I want to do with you guys today. So here's a program. Here is the kind of the distillation of the framework that I want to share with you today. 1, it's called savers, silence. Okay, you guys know this. Okay, silence. 2, affirmations. That's why in the group I asked, what do you affirm about your business and your clients? Affirmation. Okay. 3, visualization. Okay. 4, exercise. So we all know this. We live in a vessel. We need to move that thing. Okay. Whether it's sexy dancing, whether it's training, whatever it is, you got to use your body. You live in that physical vessel. This is your temple. Okay. R, reading. So, like whatever resonates with you. I'm not telling you to read this book, but if it resonates with you, go for it. But if there's something else, then read that, because it's all these hidden gems in like one place for like $20, okay? And then last one is scribe, which is journaling, okay? Whenever you put what's in your mind and in your heart down on paper, it happens. So I'll tell you a very simple example. When you go to the grocery store and you think I gotta bake a cake and you don't write a list, you usually come back and you're like, shit, I forgot the eggs, or I forgot that special ingredient. But if you write it down, milk, eggs, bread, and you just write it down, you don't have to think about it over and over and over again, which is what the mind loves to do. You look at that list, you get your shit, right? And it's the same thing, right? Write things down. And that's why I talked about in the group, go down and write what you affirm about your business and your clients. Okay? So that's what we're going to practice right now. So if, for those of us who wants to find a place, wherever you are, I mean, meditation, right? It's always in the moment. So what I suggest is to sit comfortably. Always have your hips higher than your heart. You can sit on a chair with your feet on the ground, so you want to stay grounded. Okay? And we're going to move into silence, and then we're going to move into the rest of the savers, so that you can see how this really implements. And this is what I've been doing every morning. Okay? So this is one of my consistent disciplines and practices that I've been implementing, and it's working. Okay? So take a moment here. You guys can close your eyes, but I might keep it open just in case there's comments and stuff. Okay, so take a breath in. Exhale, relax. Okay, so that everything we talked about now is going to start to imprint in your body, because when you let the nervous system relax, you're able to receive information. Because receiving information is great, but if you're not open and willing to really receive it in your physical body, in your vessel, so in order that you can implement, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just a bunch of words. Right? So take a moment now, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And just notice how good that feels. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel how good that feels in the physical body. Breathe in, breathe out. Make sure you feel yourself on the ground. So press your feet on the ground, press your sitting bone on the ground, ground yourself. Bring your attention towards the center of your body. Breathe in, center. Breathe out, ground down. Breathe in, center. Breathe out, ground down. So I'll just move through it quickly so that those of us, you guys have your practice, but you can just start to do this on your own. But just take a moment also to just take a moment to imagine that you're clear in your mind. So this is how one way of getting into silence. You must get into the body. The body must be comfortable. Hey, Pat, what's up? We're at the end of the talk where I'm offering a meditation strategy here, where we start to implement silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and writing. So this is what that is right now. And it's from this book. If you've read it, maybe you guys read it, probably you have, right? So, or you know the principles in it. Okay, so breathe in, breathe out. Feel your physical body. And just take this moment now, just to imagine that you're clear in your mind with white. Okay, so there's different access points to clearing your mind. One is the physical body. Another one is the breath. And you can vision that you're just clearing your space, clearing your mind with white, a big white space. Do that now. Start to implement what we've been talking about. Don't just think about it. So clear, 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 clear in that white space. Good. And just imagine all of these thoughts just clearing away. And I'm telling you, the more you stay in this place of clarity, the more you stay in this place of clear, that's where that expansion, the thing I talked about at the beginning, where that expansion happens, where your inner truth starts to be very, very loud and very obvious and say, shh, right, do this, go that, try that, right? That's your soul's whisper, okay? That is not going to happen if you don't have clarity in your mind, if you don't have clarity in your body, you don't have clarity in your energy. So that's, again, what we practice in our program. We clear all that stuff. And once that's clear, you can literally download, right, from the universe. You know this happens, right? And artists, they start downloading their poetry, their art. You guys start, imagining how, your business and your life is. That's where that is. And you want to start to listen to that. And then you start to affirm, yes, to start to own your truth and affirm what it is you want, right? And there's a way of doing this where you don't just affirm like, I am a millionaire, because If that's not true, it's going to be like, your mind's like, huh, am I? No, right? You can do it in this way, where you start with, I commit to a healthy lifestyle, or I commit to, be a little more specific, like I commit to cold baths. I know Pat likes that, every morning, so I can wake up vibrant, okay? If cold bath's not your thing, then I commit to 10 jumping jacks. Be specific and make it something that you know you're gonna do, right? Every day, and then you fill it in with so that I can be energetic, vibrant, awake for my family, for my friends, and for my business, right? So again, it's like you start to create your affirmation by pairing it with an actual action that you know you love and you're gonna do, right? So I commit to blank, cold shower, running in the morning, petting your cat, I don't know what it is, you do that thing. So that, and then it's like your why am I doing this, right? For my family, for that love, for that place you know in your heart that is your driving force. Why the heck do you do what you do? It's not just to make money, it's because the people you love in your life also expand, and you start to expand them, right? So that I can have abundant, resilient energy for my family, for my friends, for my business. Okay, so that's the affirmation, affirm. And then once it starts, you start to see that miracle happening in your life, affirm it. Ooh, I affirm that I'm moving towards my energetic self, because today, instead of sleeping until 8, I woke up at 7, right? So you start to affirm what's happening. Okay, so that's kind of the next process of affirmations. V, so then now that you have your I commit, so fill in the blank, so that you want to see yourself. This is a V, visualization. You want to see yourself, right? If it's that cold bath, if it's that running, if that's 10 jumping jacks, see yourself. What are you going to be wearing? What do you look like? When are you going to do it in your day? You jump out of bed, you do it, right? So you want to start to see yourself. Maybe you're sweating, maybe you're, see your facial expression. See what you're wearing. See where you are in your home or you're outside. See who you're doing it with. Okay, so that's the visualization, right? E, exercise. Okay, so, okay, I pretend I'm doing exercise, jumping jacks, right? Whatever it is, we got to live and move in the body. That's what we know. This is our vessel. Okay, so whatever floats your boat. Carlos was saying I do sexy dancing. Mega was saying like I'm doing, yoga practices, Shivananda. Like that thing is 90 minutes, dude. Like they're doing that, right? Other people are doing meditation. So do your physical practice. Exercise in the body. Use this vessel that you have, because it will love you back when you do that. Whatever it is for you. Could be biking, could be walking, could be running, could be swimming, whatever it is, okay? And then read. Right? So if you get magnetized towards a book and you're like, this sounds so cool, I love this, I like what it's saying, read something, because your mind is constantly filled with information. And if that information is information that is towards where you don't want to go, right, that's going to cloud everything. So read things where you want to go. If you see a book or you hear about a book, you're like, ooh, that's your intuition telling you, yeah, that sounds good, I like that. Go with that feeling. And that's the other thing of affirmations. You want to feel it. So when you say your affirmation and it feels good, so this is what we learned with one of my coaches. What did she say? Nothing is too good to be true, right? If that feels good to you, you're like, oh yeah, that feels so. Then make sure that the feeling is there. Evoke that emotion, right? Because that's how things start to manifest. It's through that vibration. It's a frequency, right? And then you start to magnetize that, right? And then the last one is writing. Everything that kind of comes through this vessel, there's this magic place where you start to put your pencil to paper, pen to paper, not writing necessarily through, I would suggest, write it on a piece of paper. So there's something about that kind of connection between pen and paper that allows that kind of clear frequency. So write your affirmations, write what's working, journal. And we do this process in our program where we start to journal and see like what are the things that are really, we really look at those deeper emotions, those emotions that start, first of all, there's a surface emotion, and then we start to look at where is that coming from. And sometimes when we just speak it or we talk to each other, there's this kind of unconscious filter. But when you're just journaling, just you, your mind, your heart, your soul, things come out and you're like, oh, right? So that's the power of writing, right? So silence. And silence is not, it doesn't mean you have to do nothing. Journaling does wonders. I'm telling you, man, journaling is the bomb. It's like you start to read your journal, especially if you read your journal like 6 months ago or a year ago, and you're like, dang, that was just like this like big audacious dream and goal, and now it's like, it's freaking happening, right? So that's the beauty of journaling. It gives you a database. It gives you evidence, because sometimes your mind, it will just forget, and it will just be more in what's going on right now, and it will just process that. So you need to start to process like, what the hell has been working? Because damn, I'm going to keep on doing more of that. That's where the discipline comes in, right? So silence, okay? As meditators, you guys know this. Okay, it could be on your jog. It could be when you're in your bubble bath. It could be when you're running. It doesn't have to be like Om Shanti. It can be, because I love that. So I'm not judging that. Affirmation, affirm. Okay, affirm what it is that is happening. Affirm things that you are committed to, and why. So I commit to, so that. Okay, visualization. See it, feel it, see when you're gonna do it, like see your actual self, see the way you look, see what you're wearing, see what you're doing it in your home, see it, see your facial expression, see it, visualize it. Because you know, like sometimes you have this vision of like, oh my God, I want to go to that place, and what happens? You end up going because you see it in your mind. And that's what happens when you meditate in silence. You, like the soul will speak like that. The left intellectual brain will speak, oh, and have all this problem-solving type of kind of context. But you first want to use, I always say like flip them around. First, hear what it is your soul has to say, and then implement from that problem-solving place. Instead of trying to find the answer from that problem-solving place where you're like, oh my God, what's the answer? I'm trying to figure it out. And you have like a billion trillion scenarios. Who does that, right? It gets you in these circles. But if you kind of quiet your mind, sometimes the answer, and very odd time answer, it just, oh my God, there's the answer, right? You kind of like let yourself chill out. You exercise, you do your thing, you write, and it comes, right? So visualization, exercise, we just mentioned that. Reading, so that your mind is like, oh my gosh, okay, this guy's giving me his freaking secrets, and I just have to do it. Like, how easy is that? Like, he's just telling me what to do. How he and his partner became a millionaire billionaire. Like, oh, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on. Reading and then writing, right? When you write things down, they happen. And when you look at that thing every day, right, that's your discipline, that's your consistency. Okay, so recap what we talked about. Number 1, all yogis and millionaires have a distilled framework, and they implement that framework consistently. They tweak it, they know what's working, or they start to look at what's working, they look at what's not working, and they look at, well, what also can be added to make it like even more magical and better, right? Number 2, yogis and millionaires want to expand. They have this inner calling, right, to expand. So there's this truth that they listen to versus the fear, right? So the point number 3 was faith. They believe. So instead of believing fear, which is all normal, we all have fear, they have faith that even though they can't see that freaking like amazing vision and dream, they believe, they have faith And that's what happened with our clients who like made 4K with a freaking painting, who landed a $2 billion, client, right? Like, hey, Carlene, what's up? Okay, it's my magic book. Oh, are you telling me this is your magic book, Eileen? No way. Okay, that's so cool. We need to talk about that. Hey, Carlene. And so then, what was point? Okay, so I was at point, we talked about distill your approach, expand, and then have faith. And then the last one was discipline. So 1, distill your approach. 2, this need for expansion. 3, faith, belief. And the last one is discipline. And that one is the boring one. Okay, that one is the one where it's like, it's not sexy, it's not like, fancy, it's learning how to master one thing and doing it every freaking day. Like, that's it. Whatever works for you to get your mind, your body vessel clear, that's what you do. Hello. Miracle Morning was a great experiment. Oh, yes. Okay, well, I'm in that experimentation now and I see that it's working for me. So I'm on it, baby. I'm doing it. Okay, so I'm sold, right? And again, you make it into your own. Okay, so I'm just taking this process, but this is the beauty of you. What happens is that you start to do all of these things, and then you start to distill it down from your own unique magic and experience, and you give it to the world. And so that's what we do in our program. So if that's something that sounds exciting for you, where it's like, oh my gosh, I want that abundance. I'm kind of like, I'm doing all these things. They're sort of kind of working, but I'm kind of looking at the financial gain, and it's like, I don't know, that it's I feel fragmented and spread. So true. Discipline is not sexy, but it's so empowering. I know it's not sexy, man, but it's like, you just do the thing. You do the thing. You wake up in your sweats and you sweat, and you don't take a shower yet, and you do your thing, and it's like, then what happens? You have this like rockin' bod, whatever that rockin' bod is for you, okay? I'm not saying what it is. It's just, it is, because you feel freaking great, right? And so if that's something that is calling you, that's the thing that where you're like, oh my gosh, I have all of this expertise. I have the discipline, but I'm kind of like, how do I merge those two in harmony so they're really working for me? And I can really continue to have a coach by my side that is constantly bringing my soul's, vision back into the forefront, because our mind is always going to F with us, right? And it's always going to bring us back to that contracted place whenever we're expanding, okay? And so that's what we teach you guys. We learn how do I hold myself in both places when I'm like completely freaking out, because that's what will happen when you're an entrepreneur, and when you're like, oh yes, I'm on top of the world. And how can you give yourself permission to expand there, right? So if you want a coach that is going to help you clean your spiritual house, and at the same time give you a very simple business strategy to say, hey world, this is my offer, and I'm going to offer it to you at this price rate where it's going to make sense, or when I look at my bank account, it's going to be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That is my true value. That is like, damn, okay, that wasn't so hard, landing a 4K, like, commission for a painting, landing a $2 billion client, like, that makes sense. So we're going to teach you that in our program. How to heal, how to distill your approach, and how to price appropriately so that you prioritize your zone of genius.